Is it started? Can you hear me, yo? Oh man. Woo. Oh no. Woo. I know you're wondering what's going on. Don't worry though. We're getting everything situated and aligned across the different servers for everywhere we might be showing live. So if you're listening to me now, don't worry because we're soon going to begin. Because, I know everybody is looking forward to me saying this one special phrase. And, well, woo. Gosh darn. Situated and welcome to the show. It's me, 3D, and today I'm hoping to change your perspective. Yeah, I'm sure you saw what it says on top. Dangerous Devices Part 2. But this is the no boom version. Because like last time I was a little bit of a did a bait and switch last time with that 5G. It's not actually devious, but faux 5G is used very deviously, right? So then 5G is mostly just dubious. And so this AP episode, I really wanted to like highlight actual devious devices. A few we've covered before on here in the past, but this time we're actually going to step it up a notch in what we're actually looking for. And the ultimate pin tester setup and the ultimate repair stick setup. It's something that I've seen tons of people actually purchase our individual little six devices to hopefully fix their device. Now, I know that sounds a bit strange, but there's a lot of people out there that could use some kind of ease of burdens. And really, what this episode is going to show you is that some of the stuff that actually is a devious device or something that could be used for absolute evil can also be used to potentially help you out. So keep in mind though, along the way, we will also be showing more than just this. For example, I have a setup designed for a mobile digital terror station that will violently steal, thief, and sniff any Wi-Fi capable device for anything and everything. But more importantly, it will search for what's most important first and then sequentially look for more and more the longer it is connected. So you know where in movies where you actually see that search bar going across and the longer it gets, the more traps it does or whatever, or the more stuff gets broken, data gets stolen. Yeah, like that, but a real hacker boxes. And I know this all sounds like straight from the movies because this entire ideal actually did come from a movie. But before we get into absolutely all of that, I want to just point out the sponsor of today's episode and the network. It is Shield Folio. So if you look to my side, there's a little thing in the corner with a QR and a shield. That is Shield Folio. So I'm going to bring up the big old sponsor ad behind me. Boom, there it is. Now, if you see that sponsor cam behind me, it actually has a QR there. It's the same QR, I believe, but you can go ahead and scan it and then get yourself a Shield Folio. So I actually have one of these Shield Folios, just really neat devices where it's actually like a little black book, but it's made with stone paper, and so that means it's tear resistant, fed resistant. It's basically you're gonna put something in here. It's gonna be in here for you to test the days of time. It is literally the little black book that survives. And if you use this code BitcoinLive20, you can actually get 20% off your Shield Folio today. It's a great way to store your keys, information, where people live, or even just like basically your contacts and your web info. How do you sign in to your websites? You can store with these. All sorts of different things you can use with it. And I absolutely enjoy mine. I can't wait for other ones to come out. Notepads and other things where we can have more ways to use the utility of Shield Folio. Well, let's go ahead and jump in before we jump in. Oh yeah. Thank you again, Shield Folio, for sponsoring today's episode. Because, I mean, it'd be kind of difficult to do this without a sponsor like Shield Folio or someone like that, because we are talking about stuff that some people might be a little bit more afraid of than others, so to speak. Just because, like, when you hear dangerous devices, and of course, this is the no boom version, but when you hear that, it still gets people on edge. And I really want to point out what are these things that we're calling dangerous devices. Because I know whatever your perspective is in your mind right now, that probably is not the reality of things in to be. So let's look at what most people are going to actually be thinking of, and they're thinking of a doomsday device. This is what I found most people were really considering, or online, this is what they publicly pretty much say they believe dangerous devices are. This description right here. Now, if you don't know, as we go through today's episode, uh, gosh darn, 1 second. Um, my QR thing disappeared on me. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up a QR for every page we go to. I just gotta reactivate my extensions tab thingy. I don't know why they disappear like that sometimes. Oh, says it's on right now. Well, that's messed up. Um, okay, so I guess there was an update. Oh, alright, got it. Never mind. We got it. Woo! Yeah, so there was an update to the browser, and I did not notice this between yesterday and today. Alright, I got it. Alright, sorry for the delay. Alright, throughout today's episode, we'll ring in this little pop down, and this will be wherever we are. So that way you can find us, even if you're not here live, or if you are live on a different platform than YouTube. And I did not mention this, but if you're on YouTube right now, or on any platform, go to YouTube, and you can join into the live stream chat. I do have the chat up. I do believe it's up. Let me see. Yep, do we see a heart? We do. Boom, it's up. Alright, so we're at the Wikipedia Doomsday device, um, because it really is just a make-believe thing, you know? So most people are going to be thinking of this hypothetical doomsday device. Unfortunately, I've found the modern day doomsday device, and we will get into that. Like the closest thing I could get to this, where it is a thing that will be able to create a doomsday explosion, some form, making the bombs go off. So we will get into that later in the episode, but I just want to point out this is completely science fiction. Um, the ideal of the concept, either making devices that go boom, which I do plan on doing a different episode on, but or making devices that could hack potentially and cause a nuclear fallout, or even accidental nuclear problems. And I think that's probably the closest we really get to something like this. Hacking a nuclear power plant, make it go boom. That's, to me, the closest thing to this we could get. And now I am going to show you how to basically create an auto hacking thing. We call them hacker boxes. And we'll show you about that, what that is, because it's used for a different reason, but it's something that you could, if you did enough of these or whatever, you could actually build something that does exactly that. And why do we say that? Because, well, obviously there's been proof that, you know, uh, nuclear power plants have been hit by hackers. This one says yes, the U.S. Energy Department confirms sunburst an energy attack. Now, not a whole lot of people actually know what sunburst is or anything, and we will get into that briefly because this is a little bit of a review. So there's something on here that says what we know about this hack. So, what about the hack's consequences? This is kind of important. So no matter what the hack is, what about the consequences of the hack, right? So there's still a lot that we don't know about the concern, blah, blah, blah. Hackers have known to at least monitored data within the range of the key U.S. government departments, including State, Defense, Homeland Security, Treasury, Commerce. CSA, the perpetrators, managed to breach computer networks using network management software made by Texas-based IT software SolarWinds. Up to 18,000 SolarWind Orion customers downloaded updates containing malicious software installed by hackers. The updates for SolarWinds was poisoned. It's something we've actually talked about. I've said many, many times this is why I hate auto updating stuff. Like, for example, my browser updated. I didn't even know it updated, and it just moved my system tray icon thing. And I'm like, I didn't want an update. You know what? These are reasons why people don't like auto update. Sure, there's some people that are just lazy, but then there are people like this where they're like, I don't want to get the potential problem. So there is like one of the reasons why I said we want to show you how to build like an auto a repair stick. One of the ultimate pen tester setups is basically in a USB stick that when you plug it in, it will just automatically update and debloat your whatever you plug it into. And so that's considered a hacker box. But you can see why it might be very useful for you guys, for everybody, to have a device that will do the update and then take out the bloatware. Because it would have taken out this malware that was, the malicious part of the software installed by the hackers there in this update. And that's the important part that we're looking at, is whatever is done, there is a way to reverse solve and filter or salt it out. Now, I do want to point out that there's actually a bunch of customers across the globe who are basically at impact. We're going to keep going on because that's about all we need out of that. We just basically need to understand that this attack really hit tons of people all over the globe, and more people than it's even been introduced as known hit. It's going to probably take years before we find out all the people who fully been completely destroyed by this, or at least had vulnerability openings because of it. So Sunburst, the big picture, we just kind of want to point out exactly what we're talking about. Basically, they were dribbling security appliances. The piece of malware was delivered from the form of a Windows DLL file, core.business.core.businesslayer.ll, which should not ever be a thing, implemented on the SolarWinds update package. This backdoored package to deliver SolarWinds customers as a package was digitally signed by SolarWinds. So this ends up giving them more information because it gets signed officially, and now they have signatures, and so then you go, okay, there's now connections to an outside server. We're not going to go through all of this. I just want to point out that it all really relied on being pushed as an update because its signature with it allowed these people to bypass security processes that would normally stop a lot of this. And then if you think about it, like once they have these access points and command lines into this infrastructure, it is actually a little bit more difficult to stop it. And so one of this is one of the closest things to the doomsday device we've ever found. The system used to create this hack. Okay? And it's not really a system, it's actually just a file. And to be honest, it's not much of a file either. We're not going to go looking directly into the file. I don't want to get taken down off the internet today. So we're going to go into how someone else hacked a nuclear power plant. Not really. I'm not actually going to go over this. This is like the worst case scenario, and this was done just to see if it could be done. It was done by penetration testers, and this is why we're going to look at some of their tools, because they actually can do things that is very scary. Stuff you wouldn't want someone to be able to do, like for example, let's see some of the stuff in the Q&A. Did you actually hack a power plant? Yes, this part. There were many details I can't reveal, but I've done this more than once. What did you do during the penetration testing? The first major vulnerability I found was due to contracting work that they had hired out. Sometimes, just like other structures, a nuclear power plant needs to be fixed. In this case, contractors had set up a Wi-Fi spot that didn't have a strong signal level of security. via that avenue, I was able to get into the corporate network quite easily. So he went in through a router that was probably not approved, by the way. If you had a malicious actor, what could you have done with the access you achieved? In about 1 or 2 hours, I had domain level privilege. I could have been able to gain information about how the power plant was performing if I was involved. Can someone send a zero attack through Signal? Through Signal? Yeah, potentially. If someone has Norton on their PC, can that? No. Um, I've done a different episode in the past. We'll have to link to that somewhere, where it talked about. I actually did an episode about looking into Signal and Telegram on a computer. Um, I'm glad you started watching, Brosive, because I'm going to answer your question up front. Um, and it's basically on a computer, your Signal and Telegram, they both use SQL databasing, and SQL databasing can actually talk with each other. Um, and because of that, you can't see that. That's logless traffic data. So basically, any SQL system, it has a backdoor built into SQL that if you send out self DDoS, you're basically trying to send blank or pointless announcements to your own network. Uh, you'll actually basically get something called a ground level, and you do that. I think it's 2 times to get to the ground level. And basically, what that does is any SQL database that can respond, because they have a search query system, which all SQL databases have these, it will actually activate that, and anything you send after that, they will respond to. And they will respond to in their API format. So once if you know the API format structure of that database, which because it's SQL, what they do is they actually put the password right next to the database. So if you actually do a level sniff, you can actually obtain the database and the password at the same time after you've just been given information from within it, which then you can use to then search inside of it to find exactly what it mentioned that you can't informate or destructure yourself. Now, that's only if you don't know what it is. If you do know what it is, you just take that down and roll with it. So you could send something that would allow Signal, the application, as it looks at the packet after you receive it, it looks at it, and then that could actually activate a backdoor in its own databasing to obtain information and then send that information out, even if Signal then says, oh, you know what, this is not a bad message, and then deletes it off your system. No, Norton wouldn't see it because it's logless data. Most of like your antivirus looks at logs. They just look at the logs, and they look at irregular log traffic. And if there is no log traffic, it's really hard to find it. Even like packet sniffing, it's really hard to find it. Only way that a lot of people find it was like I tried to do it live and it failed because I was doing it two different places at the same time. But we had to put it inside of a box in the computer, an emulator, and then run it to look at what it was doing outside of all the. We were looking like at we're using Wireshark to look at all the traffic, just absolutely everything. But you can actually just go into your computer, go into Signal, go use your password, and just like look into your Signal database. You should not be able to do that, but you can. You can just use SQL3 Lite. It's a free searcher, sniffer, and there's a cipher version. So if it has a password, just use the cipher version, grab the password right next to it. Boom, done. Um, so even like say you have someone in a third party place working at like a nuclear power plant, and they have Signal on their physical device. Maybe it's a communication method because it's supposed to be secure. And a 0-day gets sent to that Signal. It could actually activate any application using SQL databasing on that device. And if say that's within and connected to a network that is a nuclear power plant, I guarantee you something within that, like one of the machines for the power plant, is going to respond. And then that's going to give the attacker IP addresses of to find. And that's how they're going to go in and find out what router it's coming from. Like, for example, this guy had found that there was a non-approved router on premise that was connected to the network that he was able to bypass into simply because, like there's a lot of them, they just password breaker will get in within about 20 minutes on most systems. But it's that simple sometimes. And the sad part is Signal and Telegram both, for example, are actually uh, more secure on a cellular device like an Android phone than on a desktop. That's the sad part. But we're going to keep going because one of the things that this guy does point out multiple times was the fact that um, desktop was the main route of access, not cellular devices. Um, and a lot of the things that we're going to be looking at today, believe it or not, it's laptops that are killing people. Laptops. A lot more Wi-Fi connected um, main devices too. But what we're seeing here is anything with a battery is kind of at a risk nowadays. So when we go into like all these different blah blah blahs of pain, agony, steps of intrusions and whatnot, we are always going back to something like an IED, right? There, if it has any kind of power supply, it has the potential to be used as an IED. If it has mixed materials like plastics and metals and can cause corrosion, you have chances of an IED attack. And so we're not going to be going into these today. I do want to point out one thing from this because the next episode we do about these that have IED, these types of things involved, like potential devices that are deadly or devious. Um, a lot of it's going to be coming from this right here. So this is a video. It's just a lithium ion fire. Almost all lithium ions, this is what you get. That's the explosion. You saw what that was. That's basically a flamethrower, not an actual explosion. But you have certain metals right around when that happens, and that's liquid flame in your pocket. That can become something more deadly. And if you've never seen like the the devil's ash ring or anything like that, a little magnesium around that, and you got some serious dangerous uh, reactions. So the reason why I'm pointing this out is a lot of things that I've seen. There was someone pointing out that this can be done with something as an 1 millimeter too long screw. So a screw that's just 1 millimeter too long can actually cause this type of chaos in your pocket. And I have had a phone explode in my pocket where the battery went boom. I didn't even hear it. I didn't feel it. I ended up with a bruise on my leg, but we were out in the sun for many hours. I would do car shows, and this phone had been doing this for like 4 years, and it was in my pocket when it happened, and it still worked. It was an HTC MyTouch, and the phone still continued to work for hours, all the way up to the point the battery died. And I was trying to charge the battery when it then swelled. And so what actually happened is it internally combusted. It didn't cause any damage to the actual phone. It did cause a bruising on my leg, but then it swelled later. And what that means is that when you have different, like I said, different materials around the battery, those things, when they go boom, it's not a huge boom, but it's still a boom that impacts you. And that's why, like I said, I'm gonna have to do an entire episode on just those types of devices. It's a very different thing. So today are all no boom devices. One of the reasons why I say no boom devices is because this article right here, it's not really an article, this is like a how to manage your e-waste, because people don't realize just how dangerous these things are simply for their batteries. And some of the other materials around it, like RAM chips and stuff around some batteries, can be very dangerous together. Um, so as we continue going on, we're gonna let the plot Can we? I think we can do this. We're gonna get the plot to thicken just a little bit more. Okay. Seven, seven hacking tools that look harmless that can do real damage. Because I think some of the real doomsday devices of today are in some form hacking. Now, here's a micro list of real devices that have real use cases that will and are devious devices, 100%. Now, I didn't say dangerous, I said devious. If this is used in a manner of, they are extremely devious. Flipper Zero, we've covered Flipper Zero. OMG cables, USB Kill, a new one to talk about. USB Nugget, the Wi-Fi Pineapple, Rubber Ducky, Turtles, Unblockers, just to name some. We're not going to go over all of these. We're going to go over some of these. We're going to go over the dangerous versions. First up, my boy the Flipper. That's right, I actually own one of these. And I absolutely suck at Python. I was really hoping that my son would start learning Python because he was talking about. And no. And I've tried a bunch of like JavaScript to Python transformers, but they just don't work right. So I'm still relearning Python. Like, I think the first time I ever used Python was a long, long time ago. And this thing, I have tons of fun with just what the pre-made stuff is so far. But I'll figure out how to make something for it. But my point is, this thing is just packed full of tools. It is designed to do all sorts of stuff. I actually use mine to find the best signal strength around. So basically, I have a mobile mining system, so I needed to find the best points of my signal strength, and this little device helps me do that. Because you can see here, smart locks, sockets and bulbs, IoT sensors, garage doors. If it has some form of sensor that is wireless, this can probably talk to it. And I also use it as a remote control. I really do. So tons of usefulness out of this little boy. But what else can this man do? Well, this thing basically can abuse that internal information line on almost anything. Actually, that thing I was just talking about a second ago about how you can do a zero click attack through a signal. This little man works with the same databasing, because Python is SQL databasing almost out of the box. And this little bad boy can abuse those internal signals that are logless. It can also mess with anything that can attract a signal or have any wireless communications. This is most known for messing up the price the prices on gas station pumps at the sign. But I've actually seen people use these. Use this same technology before it was actually available. Was used to actually hack a sign in New York City. Now, I say the same technology, not the flipper though. The same technology that's in this flipper was used to hack an actual scrolling sign billboard in New York City many years ago. I believe it was through this system right here, one of these RFID systems, the sub 1 gigahertz antenna. Actually, is it sub 1 gigahertz? Yeah, sub 1 gigahertz antenna. So a lot of power in this little man. Definitely a dangerous device in the wrong hands. Yep, we're going to talk about it. The rubber ducky. If you've ever seen um, that one show where they were being like anonymous, then you've seen rubber ducky. Rubber ducky is like a very serious tool, though. As you can see, there's just a plain rubber ducky, and there's a pro bundle and an elite bundle. Um, Basically, like, having the bundles gives you more tools to use this thing with. And to be honest, the rubber ducky is basically auto text. And like, here it is in the ad for, yeah, it's Mr. Robot. It basically is just an advanced keyboard typer. It can do any keyboard control system, so if you can use a keyboard on a system, this thing can basically take over that system in some way or another using its own script setup. So in the wrong hands, this is some seriously bad stuff. In the right hands, this could be a 15-second, 20-second. I plug this into your computer because I'm working with IT, and we need to do a checkup on your computer. I plug this into your computer. I wait a few seconds. I unplug it. I go to the next one, and I do this, and we get a log of your computer internally every fucking time of just about everything, whatever we need. And then I go to my computer, I plug it in, I access the panel, and I look at everything that's logged. And I see, and if mine was the last thing and the first thing logged, then I have even a way to categorize and understand which computer is which log, even if there's nothing internally there to tell me. Because I just walk the same route every time. And it's my computer in between the two, so those would be exactly the same. And then you just basically use search commands to filter everything out. But this can do so much more than that. And I'm not going to go into everything that this can do. That's not the whole point. I want to show you guys what these are supposed to be used for. So basically, this device, when used properly, can be used to actually figure out problems with your computer or do that automatic update and debloating stuff that I was talking about. You can automatically go through and debloat your operating system. You can automatically go through and update it, then debloat it again, remove any possible malware, all sorts of different stuff. All through the keyboard. All right here, you could be like one click auto set up my computer. So you had a brand new computer, you just plug this in, and it goes through and restructures your entire thing all through keyboards. It does all your setup, the way it looks, everything. Whatever you want. Maybe you forgot your passwords and you need to know how to find them. This thing can do it. Alright, so we're going to go to the next one. Spend a little bit too much time on each one of these, but each one of these is important for what we're going to be talking about later. So, how about a cord that just hacks for you? I know, this sounds like nothing, right? Okay, think about that. This is a real problem that has caused many breaches, and the real use case for it is plug and learn about an unresponsive device. You can use this to sniff devices without putting a screen on them. It does really handy auto actions as well. This could be used to log users into a system via recognized device hash and a sleuth of options. This is the way beyond Rubber Ducky, way beyond it. And at the same time, though, it could be used to steal your connected devices and data even while you charge at a shop and eat or any public charging station. That's right, that's where these are most commonly found. Public charging stations. You thought Rubber Ducky was bad? This does Rubber Ducky Plus. Rubber Ducky Plus anything over wire. And look at that, there's even Wi-Fi capability built into some of these. Imagine that. Imagine a cable that has a Wi-Fi connection that can not only do its sniffing and then tell someone what it's sniffing live. That's some pretty crap. That's real. Okay? What is this actually supposed to be used for, though? What do you think this is really used for? Well, imagine you're IT and you're having a device that's not talking to you. You could plug this in and learn about its inside, and then maybe figure out more what you could do from there. Maybe then you'd be ready to open it up and know what to look for, or know what values to check for, and little things like that. It's a very good IT device. It really is. Alright, guys. Wi-Fi pineapple. So, tons of businesses nowadays have many devices relying on their local Wi-Fi. Here's a device that can actually monitor your Wi-Fi and actively remove unwanted devices and more. A type of monitor and autoresponder for your network. Keep in mind this can be used to create ranged auto hackers, auto sweepers, or even faux network man-in-the-middle attacks, and even do Wi-Fi ban halting. But, you know, um, I do want to point out for the three of these dangerous, devious devices are being sold by the same company, which means they're probably used in unison. They're probably used together for things. For example, if I have a big infrastructure, especially with a bunch of like little machines running on my network, like IoT and stuff, I don't want extra people on. This will make sure I don't have extra people on. This can do a lot more than that, though. But the whole point of this is, well, seeing what's up. You see, they do have a full spectrum version, one that really does everything. These guys are your wireless information sniffer solution right here. But that's kind of the point of what we're talking about. We want to eventually build something that does it all, right? Well, I just covered the three major connection points: USB, cellular connectivity or cord connectivity, Wi-Fi. Device with no internet, USB. Device with any internet, there's a cord. Device with internet, Wi-Fi. Or device with Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi. Alright, so what's next? USB kill. I don't think I've ever gone over one of these before, and I was originally not even going to showcase this one, but after like reading into it and finding out what this is actually being used for in today's day and age, I had to actually go over it. Tons of operations use devices like microcomputers and such that you cannot completely remove the data from the chips and the onboard memory. So this will kill that device. This, however, can be used in more ways than just dropping data sensitive devices. This is supposedly can be used to keep AIs under control. For example, OpenAI hires someone to actually unplug a very specific device or chassis of many devices to kill like when they do alpha version testing for AI. And this single device could actually be plugged in with a power controlled connector, so no power, no physical power for the device. Apply power with a magnet. Basically, apply power and magnet turns on, activates a flip plate, boom. Now, whatever is connected to it now has power as well, and then boom, this thing can do its job and actually destroy a device. And then some of the newer ones actually have ways to activate remotely. That's what this is really designed to do. This is designed to destroy hardware. Um, it is exactly that. Now, why would you want to do this before sending something to destroy it? Before sending it to e-waste or anything like that? People might do this to give you a bad time. This might be done various different reasons. Half of them are going to be probably devious and dangerous at the same time. But as we can see here, a lot of what we're looking at, hardware manufacturers, industrial clients, law enforcement. That's really who's using these. Penetration testers are going to be putting some data on something, and they're going to be testing it and doing stuff, and then they're going to use this to destroy that, so there's no proof of their work. That's just common practice. Let's keep going, because I know not everybody has the money to just buy. I'm not even a complete person who's all about the buys. So here's one you can make: USB Nugget. It is a simple powered cat-shaped USB attack platform. It really is what it says it is. Simple, basic, write and translate USB payloads, mount as a flash for easy data exfiltration, even have Wi-Fi capability for remote payload deployment. This has the guide, everything you're going to need in case you find this kind of thing fun. I actually think this would be a really neat thing to just build up. And most of this can be done with 3D printer, or you can just buy the actual chips and then have like the PC board made for you, or whatever. Or I think the PC board for this actually can be bought off eBay, I think it was. So you have a lot of fun with it. Now that we've covered these very dangerous devices, what about ones that might be easier to get a hold of? Let's go to Amazon. Here are some of the most dangerous devices I can find. Sorry, my computer is running super slow right now. Here are some of the most dangerous devices I can find. And, well, I am a bit of a micro PC kind of person, but these are stick PCs and pocket PCs. There are something people don't realize the potential of. These are basically supposed to be used for having a simple work computer or small device for handling bills, transferring video for free web TV, or even network monitoring. These are designed for one thing, but these are actually the things that get used for other things. So, for example, this little bad boy right here has some decent power. Wait, no, hold on, let me make sure I'm looking at the right one. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. No, I'm not looking at the right one. Alright, so this one right here is very, very nice one. Um, and I say it's a very, very nice one because it has, like it says, okay, it's decent power, it's got fast connectivity. Yes, it's actually got a little antenna. Okay, that's kind of cool no matter how you look at it. And it's about the size of a cell phone. Okay, this is something that you can easily sniff in behind something, like behind a TV or anything like that. Oh, look, it supports that kind of connectivity. Um, and this is designed to be something like your business office computer. You plug this into the back of something, boom, boom, and you can take it out and put it into a locked desk afterwards. It's nothing that you have to really too terribly worry about. It's decent price. It's got new age systems. It's actually halfway decent. Okay, so what about upping the game? So this one we're gonna up the game a little bit here. This is a brick PC. Um, this is also like a pocket PC. Now this is a real world business solution right here. No fan, anything like that, so you can use it in a high dust environment or anything like that. You can use this with a lot of business equipment. You can use this as an actual small computer, like doing basic worksheets and stuff like that. Um, so has real uses, but think about it, this has real power behind it. Real power behind it. Up to 4K gigabit Ethernet connection. It's got a halfway decent like, CPU. It's got real power. Here we go. Here's another one. This is a pocket PC that has like LAN, like straight up wire Ethernet, and very fast. Um, this like this body actually dissipates the heat. So putting this one behind your TV monitor or strapping it to the outside of a rack, a server rack, will actually help it out. Probably help cool it down some, depending on exactly how you do it. Maybe on the back of the TV, you might want to get it towards the corner, bottom corner, or something. But this has one of those things where it's using its full design to its advantage, which is kind of cool because it has decent. It's a decent package for what you're trying to get, or basically what you're getting. It's got a decent package inside. Um, so I wanted to find something that might kind of give you like a ooh and ah. And for me, this is kind of like a dream computer right here. I would love to have this to run like my VTuber setup, um, which is CPU intensive, and this is one of these high CPU in systems. And but that's kind of the point of everything I'm showing you right now. These stick PCs we've been looking at are great for turning into a plug and play hacking station. These need power and network and not much beyond that except maybe a signal connectivity to find it. But these can really be used to turn your old small TV into an integrative web recipe finder, including watching instructional videos for your kitchen. Or, if someone was to send me an Amazon gift card, I might be able to show you a few more ways to use one of these types of stick PCs. And I would not complain for having something like this to use because they can make really practical use case boxes, like the auto hack boxes, or like I said earlier, an auto recipe finder, or a, a general YouTube watcher while you're cooking, or something like all sorts of different things just because they're tiny CPU machines. And a lot of these are designed with power. Like this one's claiming to be a gaming PC. Insane. So I'm going to look at another dream device of mine just to show you guys something that is very awesome. I've talked about this one specific device before. This is a prime machine to turn into a hacker box or computer repair station. It could actually do both at the same time. Why does it not want to give me any keywords today? Come on, keyword. Thank you. I mean, if you buy this, it could be used to penetrate into a device. Maybe you forgot the password, for example. And then after it's in, it could actually be used to make the device usable or restore it to factory. This could become something useful for like plug and fix systems for small electronics and computer repair shops, a simple factory sit types thing, or maybe discovery tools where you could have one that's not plugged into a monitor, have one that is plugged into a monitor, and if you plug a device into the one that's not plugged into a monitor, it'll figure out what device you're talking to and reset it to factory. If you plug into one with monitor, it'll figure out what device it's talking to and infiltrate it, and then get you access to its information and data, so that way you can do transfer data repair or device repair, all sorts of different things. And to be honest, it's a pretty powerful little man. Um, and it's basically designed to be a small work machine, or even I think they originally said a small gaming machine, but I don't know. I don't know about that. We're good. All right, so we're gonna go into more dubious. Yeah. So have you ever heard of the Chromebook? Here's a simplified Chromebook OS device. This is probably for creating photo viewer TVs, menu TVs, or even like an NFT viewer TV. But this tiny little device can also be used to infiltrate a device within a network, to get outside traffic in, or to poison a network, like that physical network bridge we were talking about at the beginning of this thing, on how they infiltrated into and do that sunburst hack. So this is actually for watching YouTube and handling some of your Android application stuff, like dev kits and stuff. Um, but it really is a mobile workstation that works with most TVs. And that's the key point here. This works with most things you plugged into if it's a TV. And that gives you a lot more accessibility, usability, and blah, blah, blah. It's commonly paired with a dual mouse keyboard and a very good wireless dongle for high-end Wi-Fi connectivity to actually increase its what it's able to handle. Basically, it is used as a hacker box already. Now, I'm showing you the real dangerous devices right here. Okay? For anybody who thought anything about anything I already showed you, this is probably the most dangerous device you can purchase for $14.99. Oh my gosh, only $14.99. This has the ability to destroy your life. Maybe not your computer, sometimes, but your life. So at some point, we were going to have to talk about these very dangerous devices. These little USBs is always what I think about when people ask about dangerous devices. And I will never recommend you buying a fully ready to go USB repair device like this. And the only time I recommend a USB repair device is when you are putting it together yourself. You put the software on there yourself. So here's an example of the most dangerous device you can get. And if you look at it, it actually looks like a remodeled rubber ducky. And here's another one. So this is why I think it is a remodeled rubber ducky, so to speak. They look almost exactly the same. Only these IT repair device, Windows repair, error. Windows repair. Yeah, no, neither one of those are. No. Password zapper. Now here's the problem about devices like this. Okay. Um, this might actually be a real device, meaning this auto resets window user systems and is normally used in big companies that allow employee picked passwords. So when the employee moves on or upgrades device or moves location, IT people can just stick one of these in the back of the device and get back to no password. Just get back to a regular device system. They just wait for the device to turn back on, and it's brand new, ready to go for a new user. But this specific device, I do believe, is actually fake. I believe it's designed to basically be a rubber ducky. And the sad part is they remanufactured rubber ducky style USBs. So you can't trust this stuff, man. You got to build it yourself. And you see, this is actually sold with a completely different USB and a boot disk. That doesn't make you get what I'm saying? Um, so let's keep going because we're gonna bring one of those into play. What is this? This is a 64 gigabyte bootable Windows USB driver. Alright, so I don't recommend buying this and then plugging it into your computer, because if we go through here and we look, they're using like custom firmware or something. Um, but the fact that the USB is 64 gigabyte shows you about what size we're needing to make something like this. 64 gigabyte might just be big enough to put the software we need to use for, um, making an auto system. Something that we might be able to use to fix our computer, something we might be able to use to maybe put our computer back to factory, or make a automatic, make an automatic backup or something. That's the size. That's the minimum size that we're gonna allow. 64 gigabyte. So when I see stuff like this, it's only 4 gigabyte bit. I don't completely say this is BS, blah blah blah. But if you wanted to say what is the absolute smallest, I would say 6 gigabyte. Because many operating systems nowadays need between 6 and 8 gigabyte for portable usability. So if you really wanted to ask what is the lowest you can go, 6 really, but go for 8. 8 gigabyte should be the lowest you're going for. Okay, and the reason why I'm saying like this might actually be real is because I've used Heron's boot. I've actually used Heron's boot. Okay, but it doesn't look that way. So if you look up bootable USB unused, this is what you're gonna get. This kind of stuff, and a lot of these look like those rubber duckies, and some of these might not be. And if you notice, these ones like with the Linux Mint and stuff, that's one of the smaller Linux versions. It's 8 gigabyte. 8 gigabyte. OMG cable. Maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, if you're seeing something like this and they're saying it's smaller than 8 gigabyte, it's most likely completely trash. So that's another thing to look for. Size. You gotta pay attention. Okay. Now, I know anybody who's looking at the screen right now is probably thinking, what? I bought one of these for $1 somewhere else. I didn't have to buy it online, I bought it in person for $1. And it works. It's creepy. And you see, it's a small PCI card insert. What is the point of this, you might wonder? This can allow you to have higher USB speeds. Basically, USB there, PCI there, PCI USB. Even if your computer has no USB, there is a way to get high-speed USB. There's no more excuses. Get high-speed USB, and take all of your M2s and convert them to USB. And plug them in to those high-speed USBs. Even if you have an M2 slot, do some more. M2s are traditionally faster than USB, and definitely faster than flash memory. It's also more reliable than flash memory. So, making M2 USB card thumbsticks plugged through PCI can allow you to take one PCI slot, even if it's a small little one, and get a full range for multiple M2s. Now you can have, if we go back, up to 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 4 high-speed M2s running that could be allow you to have either, you could have like 2 operating system dual boots, and then you could have 2 different repair connectivity down below it that just plugged in all the time that you access and use by turning it off and on the computer and going through the dual boot process. But you have a multi-boot, you have 4 booting into the bottom 2 will, say the bottom one from the bottom third one will fix the computer, and then the one at the very, very bottom will restore it to factory. All sorts of, like I said, that update deep loader could be in that third slot, and then the very bottom one Could be your return back to factory, make a boot CD, return to factory, and then restore from boot, something like that. Um, M2s are going to be the way to get there. Okay, M2 conversion kits are pretty simple, and somehow, because depending which ones you get, you can actually get faster connectivity, especially if you have one without the cable. So here are some M2s. This is actually the one we're going to be looking at as an example. I hate these interactive websites. Um, I'm going to be using this one as an example because it's a fairly cheap one. You know, it's decent speedish. Um, you can get 1 terabyte even, so you can get high end connectivity, blah blah blah, or high end you know, space. All right. So basically, this site is going to show it's. This site will walk you through it. Okay. You you're gonna have a key ring, 2 or 3 of these bad boys, and they're all gonna do a different thing. They're all gonna do their thing, and you're gonna end up eventually. This is gonna be becoming your IT solution. So they give you a bunch of stuff here to pick and choose from. I do have some images and stuff later to help and show you and help you guys go to different places. But I'm going to give you guys this entire site. I'm not going to go over it, but it's basically going to go through the steps to make these different individual USBs. And I think it's really nice when you have something that can walk you through it step by step. And at least you can do like, I think this one does like 2 or 3 of them. And then after that, you can figure out how to do the next one and the next one on your own. This is a great place to practice, to get started, and to build your first couple of ones. Cool. Let me find the, where am I at on my thing? Alright, okay, I got a note here. It says, look at some of the program names and what they do. Okay, so for example, this Google Chrome portable, it's just Google Chrome in a portable setup. So you plug it in, it installs fairly simple, and it runs out of the box. A lot of times you can't save anything, it'll just like run like it's brand new every time. And there's a lot of portable applications that work like that. And for not storing history on your computer, it's really nice. Revo Uninstaller, it's natural, like full blown thing that you can get that will really it does the deep loading and all that. There is like a portable free version that's Erva. It's kind of like Windows Defender, kind of. It's like a very generic multi-security solution. I don't have any say there. I cannot even recommend them. I have no words about it other than what they say they are. Crystal disk info. We'll actually get more into this later. It's just basically checking your info. Specky is kind of the same thing, but for something else. Process Explorer, looking at all the processing within your computer. Like earlier, we were talking about trying to find logless stuff. Sometimes Process Explorer helps you find logless stuff running in the background that shouldn't be running. AWD cleaner, I cannot recommend, but any kind of cleaner for your device, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be great. But there are such things as what they're saying it does. Goes in, removes malware, removes pops up, removes bullcrap. Pure Block blocks different things. Kind of cool. MRB tool. It's a standalone app. Really neat. It's awesome. You're gonna have to. That's one you'll have to do on its own, completely on its own. Hardware monitors, network watchers, directory stacks. A lot of this is just tools to look at more things within your computer. All right, I think I've showed you enough there. Let's keep going because we are getting close to the juicy stuff. Juicy stuff. Alright, so I can't give you the tools basically of how to destroy a device, but I need to give you also a way to back up your devices, so to speak. So here's a setup rescue kit for Windows devices. Like, if you need to know how to, you probably need to do this first before you play around with stuff, just in case. Alright, and of course, not everybody's using Windows, so here it is for Mac users. If you're a Mac, here's how you Keep yourself safe. And here's a generic one for Linux, because not all Linux works the same and stuff. But yep, here's a generic way to do the exact same thing on Linux. Here you go. All right, guys. So back up your stuff. Get a copy of your stuff before we dive in further to the juicies. Straight up, Yumi. Yes, right. The multi-boot USB. Yumi is one we've talked about before. Love it. It's probably the oldest and most used USB bootmaker. Um, I'll give you links to other ones, but this is probably the more user-friendly one. Um, and it's really, really good. I've used it tons of times. Tons of times. Yep. Anyways, let's keep going because we're going to need multiple software. It's basically what we're looking at now. We're looking at the software we're going to need to make these USBs. Okay, these are the ones I'm recommending. Okay. Here in Epagadick's homepage. I probably said his name wrong. Pankjuz. But these are basically links to other solutions. I can't guarantee all of these. You know, a lot of what they're going to be doing is freeware and shareware, which is what I recommend, but I can't recommend all these individually. There's a lot of stuff here. If you're probably looking for something, they probably have it here somewhere. Like cleaners, there's all sorts of different cleaners, right? Instead of one that does it all that you, boom, here's one for very specific things to make sure you're not getting screwed. And look, even Revo's here. Boom. So, all sorts of different stuff. This is like a slew of options, okay? That's why when I said that one where it was saying hiring, but it was on like 4 gigabyte or something, I was like, yeah, I probably doubt it. And you see why I doubt it? See how big and extensive this list is? This is probably a 3 gigabyte list minimum. Love the fact that it's a lot of options for you to go through and try. But again, make a backup first. Okay. Ultimate Boot CD. Alright, so I cannot personally verify Ultimate Boot CD for Windows or any Ultimate Boot CD product. But the how to build this guide, like there's a click here how to build, it's really good. And it's really good for generic making of recovery and boot USB and DVDs, which boot DVDs is like the oldest form. Well, I say that, but I still have 3.15 hard diskette floppy boots for Windows 98 Packard Bell. So, I mean, there are older ones, and I have seen a reel-to-reel. What operating system was that? Sunsoft or Sun something? I don't know. I've seen a reel-to-reel operating system thing where, like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was reel-to-reel, and the guy was saying it was an operating system. Never got to actually see it in action. Just physically got to see it, and it was like, it was a data storage. But I was like, gosh damn, so glad we're not doing that no more. Anyways, this guy is really freaking good. And you see it's really freaking old. But the generic guide making a DVD, a boot DVD, is really, really good. And this is specifically for Windows computers. And sorry, this is just one of the better ones out there. Just sorry that it's mostly only targeted towards Windows. But the steps and processes is basically the same. Just you're going to do it slightly different on your Mac or your Linux. Alright, so here is tools. These are actual tools to learn more. They will also work with some of the subs that we've been talking about. We will be talking about later. And like everything in today's episode, use at your own risk. Make a backup first. These are real tools. These are real penetration testing tools. These are real tools that can do real things for real reasons. And they do tell you what they are inside, what, why, how. And some of these will be used in some of the stuff we'll be showing you later. But if there's something you want to learn about, they probably have a tool to help teach it to you. They have courses, resources, all sorts here. If you're not sure what you're doing, they probably have something you can read, watch, or look at to figure it out or to take you to the next step, wherever you get stuck at. Okay? This one thing I love about this place. It's really resource friendly. Uh, it's friendly for everybody, really, and that's the beauty of it, right? All right. So we can't just keep going any further unless we do some ground lines on what these color box words really mean, because the color codes they were established some time ago. Black box testing. So a black box does one specific type of thing, but black box testing is a penetration tester that is placed in the role of the average hacker. No internal knowledge of the target system. Testers are not provided with any architectural diagrams or source code that is not publicly available. So if it's not available in public, they don't get none of it. A black box penetration test determines the vulnerabilities in the systems that are exploitable from the outside of the network. So a black box can, so if you have a black box, it's a hacker box, it can actually do penetration of a system without knowing anything about that system ahead of time. So it's a generic, multi-structured penetration box. Gray box testing. So testing gray box is black box is examining a system from the outside perspective, right? A gray box has access and knowledge to some levels of a user potentially within the elevator privileges on a system. So like when they say a hacker got information from someone on the inside and was able to social engineer their way into so and so's account to then get into their email to then get into their work. Yeah, that's a gray box is a hacker box that does social engineering hacking. But it also does stuff that's not always really hacking. For example, you could actually have an AI gray box that what it does is it sends thousands of messages on like Facebook or something, like all the time, just sends people messages. And just simply ask simple questions like, "Hey, I'm doing a survey, blah blah blah. What's your dog's favorite? What's your dog's pet's name? And what's your favorite food? And what high school did you go to? And then you got a chance of someone filling that out and sending it in, and that's kind of what Gray Box does. It takes advantage of the people inside of the system. So white box, uh, also known as clear box or open box, and the way they're describing, I would call it open box. Okay, um, it falls on the opposite end of the spectrum. So basically, penetration testers are given full access to source code, architecture documents, and so forth. The main challenge of the white box is sifting through the massive amount of data available to identify potential points of weakness and making it the most time-consuming type of penetration testing. It's basically say, hey, look, we see through everything you have available that you've given us that is privately available, we see these points of problem. And we can do these things to make that more difficult to get through. But because of these things that you have set up, they're always going to be there. Not all systems are 100% hack proof. Therefore, you need a way to make that hack more difficult, more problemsome, longer. And so a white box is a hacker box that is normally used on the inside to automatically determine potential target problems, to normally report to the IT people, to then they find a white hacker to then turn that data set into a solution set to then they implement and then problem solve to keep that problem from happening, right? Okay. Now we know what these words mean. Let's keep on going because we're going directly into them, baby. We're going into the hacker box kits. Keep in mind, these are for educational purposes and do jobs that many people would normally have to pay a company every month to do the same work. These boxes can teach you new skills or show you how networks and other things like wireless communications actually work. And that's why I really want to show you guys these. These boxes are like Chef Kiss teaching you in any way, situation, even ways you didn't think were possible. These guys will show it to you. These are the boxes, kits. These are kits designed to do something. Okay, look, for example, basics. You want to learn the basics of hacking? Boom. Actually, this is the basics of electronics. Soldering. I need to learn how to better solder. Bro, we make some badges. Make some shiny stuff that go lights on and off and makes you do logical determinations based on where you put little chips. Core workshop. Work on all your skills at the same time. Boom. Hardware hacking toolkit. Figure out how to actually hack hardware, how to bypass chips, how to, um, I don't know the right terms to be honest. Okay, how to mod podge your way. Okay, how to do your bulge wires and all that. Doing penetration testing, using devices to then actually penetrate something or another device, like a Wi-Fi nunchuck. In other words, I think this one they actually have you use a Wi-Fi nunchuck to actually play a game on something that is not designed to play a game. I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Wireless hacking toolkit. Anything that has Wi-Fi, yeah, they have a way to hack them. Even past month boxes. Oh my gosh, we can do it all. Now that's what I'm talking about. These are the real world hacker boxes. These are the things that you want to learn how something works, you want to learn how to do something, or you want something to do something. For example, you want a homebrew controller, there's a way to do it. For example, that's kind of what we're showing you here, how to take your old controllers and reuse them on your current computer. How to recycle your old devices into new reasons and ways, and all sorts of different stuff. And that's really what this is about, because these are dangerous devices, but they're actually used to teach you things, to help you stop paying for services you don't need. You don't need to be paying for a cloud service if you're not really using your cloud outside your home. You can do it yourself. But I hear you. I'm not going to act like we all got money. I ain't going to act like this entire audience who watches is like, you know, in an area where they can even get that stuff shipped to them. So they have Autodesk Instructables. Teach you how to do it yourself. And if you notice, there's way more boxes here than available for purchase. That's right, boys. This has the top of the line, highest number of hacker boxes I could find in one spot that you can learn, do 100% on your own, buy the stuff on your own, do it on your own, learn it on your own, and become a better person and have more access to more things you never thought was possible, like having a stronger network, faster network, getting ad hole. Like, believe it or not, that's my next project. Ad hole in my house is my next project, and that is a hacker box. Believe it or not, that's one of these in here. But if we typed it in, I bet it's going to pop up. Let's see. Ad hole. Alright, that's not exactly what I was. Yeah, that didn't work right. It's ending up just searching the entire Instructables instead of just the setup that I had. Oh, nice duct tape iPod case though. I like that. I remember the time where you could actually buy a duct tape wallet from stores. Yeah, yeah. Ad hole. That's my next project. Cause I got an old Raspberry Pi 3 that why not? So what are we talking about? All right. Okay. We're talking about a mobile terror station. Isn't that what I said? Just based on stuff we've shown you today, this is an MTS. It's actually capable of building. You can use stuff that we've already shown you. Everything available to make an MTS, I've already shown you. So you got to come up with some of your own stuff like power supply, case, your own network, figuring out how to get into it. Some stuff you got to figure out on your own, right? And if we go to the picture, it is available online, so you guys can look at it after this. That's what the keyword is for. I don't show here a power bank and squirrel cage, a book bag, a cell phone with network. I don't show any of those. But even with that considered, about $1,500 to to build one of these. We have the Wi-Fi Pineapple. We have that Pocket PC I was showing you earlier. An M2 an M2 to USB, an M2 that Samsung I was showing you earlier. The OMG cable being used, also being used with the power cable. Um, so that way, like we know what's going on. Now, what is this thing actually used for? So far all day we've been showing you these dangerous devices, and I'm telling you what they're actually used for. So what is this actually used for? We can have this for $1,500. It is a network ad hole. I can choose to see or not see ads on the network. A network-based web nanny. I can limit and restrict what sites from the network. You got kids, or you got people showing up, you just don't want them going into porn and racking up your whatever. Bro, we got this. Video streaming device. No more subscriptions needed with this bad boy. Home multimedia hub. That's a home multimedia NAS, bro. Home videos, pictures, and more, all to your TV. And if you really, it's device wide because it's on the whole network. I'm talking about all four of these use cases simultaneously for $1,500. Boom, all at the same time. Insane capability. One tiny little mobile terror station. And I'll explain to you why we call it mobile terror station soon enough. Just not right this second. I want you guys to be thinking, what is mobile terror station? I mean, it doesn't make too much sense, so let's keep going. So this is a little guide thing I made for you guys to help you out figuring out like this. Okay? I get it. Like, this is a lot of information. You might need to come back to here. So use that USB to find this later. But basically, you're going to pick an OS. See at the very top, number 1, pick an OS. Peppermint OS, Linux Lite 7, Porteous, and Windows 10. That's portable Windows 10, by the way. Right there. Pick one. I really recommend Peppermint for this one. And Porteous. Flash to USB using Rufus or UNet Boot or that other one I was showing you earlier, Yumi. Okay? Hiren CD, I have the official Hiren CD link right there. Go get it. So that's that QR to make the official Hiren CD as a USB or DVD. And then you come into this like the yellowish section. All right. We have behind me. We have Revo. I got portable Opera. A bunch of portables beside that. Tons of portable applications. And then Nurse Softwares. Fifth one. So you get your portables, then you get your Nurse Softwares, and then you go over to this other side and you get your HXD, which is like your hex editor, your data file editor, your MJB key finder. That's a Jelly Bean key finder. It's a very generic one. It's very good. Crystal Disk Info, and then also the Process Explorer thing that I was talking about earlier. You get these. Those are your basics. These are your basics. Okay? And to just do this, it's 3 USBs. Alright? You're going to need one specifically with the greens applications that has some of these, with all of these yellows. But some of your Nurse Softs are going to want to be on a completely different one. And then Hiren CD completely on a different one. And so, boom, there you go. Now, in case anybody's wondering exactly what's up, because I do plan on actually building one of these in some form. Maybe not exactly the one I showed you, but in some form. So I wanted to go ahead and I built a GitHub so you guys can just kind of refer back to here. And those images are here, by the way. But like we kind of explain everything you're going to need, the type of softwares you're going to need. It's not very difficult. But that's kind of the whole point of this, is this. The most dangerous devices are actually easy for you to make. But because we're talking about dangerous devices, I went ahead and I found this. It matches the name. It matches everything. It's more funny than anything. It's something for you to goof off with. But it also might be able to help you troubleshoot your way through some of this stuff. I'm understanding that some people are going to need extra help. And I think this black box AI was kind of the best one I found for handling some of these tasks. I know, I hate AI, but gosh darn it, a lot of people who watch these shows tend to like AI. So if I can find more AI to specifically help you do some of the stuff, I probably will more often in the future. I don't know. We'll just see how that goes. But I'm not going to leave you guys completely offhanded. I wanted to leave today by showcasing some unusual new web browsers. I know some of these are not actually new, but they're going to be new to you, bro. So, excuse me. Some of these you might want to include into your MTS or even your home device. For example, this is an entire pen testing, open source, pre-configured, portable penetration testing environment for your Windows operating system. It's a browser. It does what it says. It does what it says. I can't say anything else on that. So here's one. Also, again, penetration browser. It does what it says. Yeah, I actually had to fill this out, and I asked for a copy, and I got a copy. Um, so just like the previous one, this penetration web browser is a large portion of the applications you are consider using may be available in these two web browsers. That's the thing. If you're not sure about a lot of this web browser and this web browser right here most likely have a large portion of the tools you're going to need to do whatever it is you're going to need to do. All right. So that might be a place to start if everything else is really out of your range. But if any of this is out of your range and you thought I was just talking a lot of gobbledygook today, please get this browser and make yourself a little more private every single day of your life. Because if anything, today, your web browser, just like your USB, just like a cord that you can, plug into your computer, these are actually dangerous devices. They can be used for some pretty terrible things. And I hope that I showed you that any device capable of wrong is also capable of good. You can literally use any of the dangerous devices shown today to give your network an advantage over the intruders, a step up in managing your connections and activity, as well as giving you the tools to do more. I have the GitHub, and I do plan on working on it personally myself and with USB keychains, and I plan on updating that MTS repository as I go on with it. So if anything, hopefully you found out that some of the most dangerous devices that doesn't go boom are some of the more common things that we see in everyday life, like the USB cables, thumbsticks, routers, software running on the other side of the network that you are connected to. And I think that last one, software running on the other side of the network that you are connected to, really is the most dangerous device that you can't see.